Artificial intelligence of varying types is used widely in the battlesuits worn by the Tau, from Farsight to Shadowsun, as well as in the drones who fight alongside them. Can they replicate the mind of a living Tau? And could the Tau ever face, long-term, a Men of Iron situation like humanity did? They might have already spotted one early sign. Friends, let's find out. And welcome to another 40k video. First, let's take a look at where this technology is used. We start with Farsight, the artificial intelligence he used to bolster his own XV8, ported across from the experimental Cold Star class void suit he had used during the first crossing of the Damocles Gulf. Knew full well how valuable she was to the Tovar. Farsight had come to appreciate her company, though he had never admitted it to himself. Her clipped tones reminded him just a little bit of Shadowsun. It aids Farsight in the void conflict just mentioned, and it has a helpful personality, as Farsight isn't used to using this suit. So now we have one of the basics. Where else is AI used with the Tau? For that we have to look at one of the greatest tacticians amongst the Tau, who is known as Puretide. As he nears death, the Tau's mind is scanned, and his knowledge and experience is stored on the Puretide engram neurochip. So future Tau commanders can draw on Puretide's tactical brilliance, and in the first Farsight novel, Farsight speaks to the engrams of his friend and mentor, which seems to remember training Farsight, and this AI version of Puretide even holds back so it does not give away a secret discussion between the real Puretide and Farsight that the Tau leaders should not hear. So it has the tactics and some of the opinions and personality, I would say, of Puretide, loyalty to Farsight being part of that. So what's the next level up from this? How about the mind of an entire Tau being stored as AI, mimicking the original, and this being installed into the original flight suit that the deceased person wore? This dude's name is Oblote90. The original suit pilot fought along Farsight when he was young. Now I think the number is the number of times he's died, and he fights alongside Farsight in the present as one of Farsight's 8. After his death, the broadside battlesuit Oblote piloted is filled by an AI engram of the original. So we can see their AI tech can mimic the minds of Tau to a good level, and an AI of the original Oblote seems to be accepted and passed on some level as the original. So their AI is already more advanced than the Imperium as of M40. So now we come to a key question. Have they had issues with these AIs? The answer is yes, but for the moment it has been arrested, and it happened with one of the Tau drones, perhaps several. Their minds have an intelligence, but only a basic one. It's compared to a small animal. Now these drones need orders from those they fight alongside. I will say in the Shadowsun novel, one of her drones seems to have a moment of concern for itself before going into combat, and has to be talked into going into it by Shadowsun. By way of comparison, according to the Space Marine 4th edition Codex, a machine spirit is a combination of organic and mechanical components that helps to control, in this case, a tank's movements and weapons systems. And we can apply this same definition to the power armor of the Astartes. Now let's think of that and look at it through the lens of the Tau. They are similar, but I think with the personality added to the drones, I think that makes the difference between the two. So let's look at an example of this drone and touch in a moment of an AI issue that it has. Shadowsun stepped back and to the side, revealing the C-Link drone behind her. Oken? The drone rose slightly in response. Designation: Imperial Hive World. Human population: approximately 16.7 billion. Apex cohabitation: Agellan Prime, said Oken. The drone's artificial voice was strangely lyrical, as if it were reciting an abstract poem. Surface primarily plainsland. Topographical map appended. Atmosphere highly toxic to all carbon-based clades. Anomalous readings high. Excellent, I believe that will be sufficient for now, Oken, interrupted Shadowsun. We can assimilate the rest from your compile. We do not want the brutes alerted to our presence by you rattling out every last finding. After all, rattling, Commander, said Oaken, its elevation sinking. An artifact of speech, said Shadow Sun, waving the comment away. I meant no aspersion. The town's official intelligences were hardwired to behave as much like their makers as possible in all social situations. And Oaken Yon was the most advanced of his kind. Regardless of size or duty, every drone strived to manipulate, to work with or emulate its masters, and fit in seamlessly with the Tau culture. It was a safety measure that covered most eventualities. When a purely objective viewpoint was necessary, personality protocols could be temporarily deactivated at a single blip. Such a course of action had proved problematic in the past. The disastrous Pesh incident was one example, and that word, one example, means there have been others. In recent years, the Earthcast had made it standard practice to build the Tau Empire's artificial intelligences with a personality best suited to their role. Even so, Shadow Sun often wondered if a machine that could simulate emotion wasn't just as likely to affect operational efficiency as one without it. May I append an observation, Commander Shadow Sun, said Oenu quietly as it hovered in close. The MV-52, much like lesser shield drones, had twin projector aerials that reminded Shadow Sun of the plane hoppers she used to catch on Viola as a child. Sounds just like shooting womp rats in Beggar's Canyon to me. By all means, Oenu. The background electromagnetic field upon Agellan is having a detrimental effect on my Bactrosaurus, Commander. I cannot guarantee optimum performance throughout, noted Little Helper, but in truth you say that every time. It is rare that I deploy the Firecast into an idyllic environment. This time is different, Commander Shadow Sun, the drone whined. It dipped the front of its rim in a gesture of dutiful obedience. Rest assured that in the interests of longevity, Oahai and I will utilise the least possible amount of energy. In order to ensure your protection, we shall not use one iota more than necessary. That is indeed reassuring, Oenu. Thank you in advance. Merely doing our duty, Commander Shadow Sun. The drone said, politely dipping its disc-like body once more before withdrawing to slowly orbit its mistress. So you see how well they work together in that quote, and the key bit here that the Tau drones have caused issues in the past when their personalities were switched off. Now perhaps the personalities themselves bind the AI to the Tau and their way. As we can speculate, does something within all Tau who fight for the ethereals, or could it be another source of rebellion? In the future, we have already seen Farsight turn away from the ethereals' orders after all. And think of what was said there, the AI mimics the personality of those they fight with. And on the mention of Pesh, it is the Kroot homeworld and has been invaded, if memory serves, by orcs and tyrannids. But I was unable to mention anything when looking that would give us more details on this AI incident. So now, friends, I turn things over to you. What do you think this incident could have been? Do you believe that AI could eventually go the way of the Men of Iron? Maybe, I think, but not right now. Comment down below.